Nearly everything I know about love, I've learned from my long-term friendships with women. They're the ones who've taught me how to apologise, how to forgive, how to show up without needing to be asked. They're the ones who've seen me at my best and my absolute worst, but they've never made me earn their love. There really does need to be more conversations about the love we have with our girls. The girls we cry with, the girls we laugh with, the girls we meet at school, university or work, the girls we go on long drives with, go on date nights, go to the cinema, or give that tough love when we need to hear it the most. I've learned that the greatest love stories in your life don't have to be with a man, and that the love that carries us isn't always romantic. It's the friendships, the sisterhood, and the women who show up time and time again. This episode is for you. Welcome to the DemocraTEA podcast, where we spill the tea on people, power and politics. My name is Anum Qaisar. At 28, I became one of the youngest members of Parliament elected to Westminster. From the Houses of Parliament to protests on the streets, I've seen up close how power works and how often it doesn't. That's why I started this podcast. It's unfiltered, unapologetic and disruptive. We go behind the headlines and behind the sound bites to challenge the status quo. Now, I'm not a journalist, and this isn't just another political podcast. This is about the conversations that impact all of us. The conversations that don't always make the headlines, but shape how we live, work, and show up in the world. We'll talk about politics, but we'll also look at power, identity, faith, equality, and everything in between. Real stories, real people, real talk. In this episode, I'm sitting down with Mouna Ramdani, who's the CEO of a marketing agency. Mouna was born and raised in London and moved to Dubai 5 years ago. She's also the founder of Women DXB, a community of women-only parties in Dubai. We're going to unpack why so many Brits are moving to countries in the Gulf, and then talk about one of my favourite topics, girlhood and the power of female friendships. And before we dive in, thank you. Your support means the world to me. And please remember to hit subscribe wherever you listen. After you've listened, I'd love to know what you think. Why are so many people looking to move out of the UK, and is girlhood important to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this episode with a friend, and don't forget to hit subscribe so we can keep inviting guests to spill the tea on people, power and politics. Mouna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
What's in your cup today?
I have peppermint tea, which I love to have at the end of the day, but obviously we're midday right now. I don't know, am I breaking a fourth wall saying that? Am I allowed to say?
Does it give you some energy? Where does your love for peppermint tea come from?
Honestly, like a good peppermint tea feels so cozy, doesn't it? Like it makes you feel at home and just like a little bit chilled. And we're British, we like a tea, you know?
Well, actually, I would call myself Scottish, not British.
sorry, yeah, of course, of course.
Do you know what? Love a cup of tea. Have you ever tried Scottish blend?
No, but I'm open to it.
Yeah, honestly, next time I see you, I'm going to bring you a packet of Scottish blend tea.
Okay.
It works really, really well with the Scottish water. Not that you can get that in Dubai, but
maybe I'll come to Scotland.
Maybe you could have some women's only parties in Scotland. I think it's really missing.
Really, you know what it is? It's also missing in London. I'm starting to see some girls pop up doing these women-only events, which is really exciting, especially because they're doing like very specific events like galas, and you know, something very extraordinary. I love that. I love when women like take those risks, because it is scary. Like it's scary to start something like this. So yeah. It's quite cool.
Oh, amazing. We're going to come to Women DXB in a wee minute. But before we do, you obviously made the journey, like so many people have or are thinking about, where they were born and raised in the UK and they moved to a Gulf country, and you moved from just outside London to Dubai. Before we dive in, where did that stem from? Is that something you'd always wanted to do?
I wouldn't say I always wanted to do that, but I knew that I aligned with living in a Muslim country just for, you know, my background, obviously the access to different foods that I can't get back home. And I actually didn't grow up in London. So the town that I grew up in was very segregated. And, you know, like there wasn't many Arabs, Asians, etc. Like it was just really my family and another family. So it was really nice when I first came here to see like there's so many different communities. There's a lot of Arabs. I can speak my language. So for me, that was a big driving factor. Obviously, politically in the UK as well, that was a huge driving factor for me. Like at the time, I was just finishing I just qualified to be a lawyer.
Okay.
I was like, what is my next step in my life? Do I love the UK like that? I do love living there, but do I love where I see it going? And I think that's what kind of pushed me to leave. And it's unfortunate because I do love the UK.
Yeah.
Like I'm not one of those people that will bash it and be like, oh, I hate that place. I really appreciate the opportunities that came out of there, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you made that decision 5 years ago, but it feels like the rise of populism and fascism has got even worse over the years.
Yes.
And I feel like when I speak to people, there's more and more Brits moving to Dubai from different communities, all in every community, not just necessarily Muslim or Arab or Asian communities.
Definitely. And I think even a lot of people who would identify as Caucasian or even just like, you know, like Spaniards who live in the UK and they're moving over. You have so many different communities. And then obviously we have different kinds of expats too. But especially from the UK, we have a lot of people coming.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. It's so
it
interesting.
feels like an influx almost.
It does, doesn't it? And then it's trying to like pin down where that stems from. Is it opportunity? Is it escape? Is it wanting a better future for them and their kids?
I think definitely the first thing that you said was opportunity. And I think once you start seeing life going more dead end, you start to look outside of where you live. You know, and I was already at that point when I was finishing qualifying to be a lawyer. I was like, I cannot see myself doing this and being happy. Maybe I should try doing this somewhere else. And actually, I did have an opportunity to come here and work as a paralegal. And I was almost going to do that. And then obviously I started my marketing agency. So that kind of flipped my life around a little bit.
I know, and it's so interesting because what you've just said there is like you wanted to do what you were doing, but you maybe just thought, maybe I don't want to do it in the UK. And actually, when you take a step back, if you compare, I suppose, the quality of life, if you live in London, you've got long commutes, you're using the tube. One of my really good friends works in finance, and I remember speaking to her quite regularly, and she'd be pulling her hair out. She had children. She'd be like, I have a decent salary, but after I pay my bills and my children's childcare,
that's where
I'm actually left with pretty much nothing. And she's then moved over to a Gulf state, and she has seen such a difference, a drastic difference. Obviously, not just in her pay packet and what she gets every month, but just the ability to spend more time with her children
and to live.
Yeah,
you know, and to maybe move a bit slower. And we're afforded so many luxuries here because we have so much support. If we need something, we get it in an instant. Whereas like I would need to, in the UK, I would need to go to the shop and purchase that thing. But here I could just message them and they'll bring it to me. And that time of me not having to leave the house and I can do something with my husband instead, it's such a luxury. And I got really used to it. Like there's certain things I do now. I'm like, Mom, I'll just send you some groceries. And then I'm trying to figure out in the UK, where can I do that delivery? And then it's £8 delivery. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave that. But here it would be free delivery to bring it to my home. You know, and those small things of time, you don't realize they really add up and they change the way you live your life and kind of the way that you sort your life out, if that kind of makes sense. Because over there you start to feel like you're drowning. Too many tasks, too many chores, too many things to do. And I think here, although work is quite heavy loaded here, you can still enjoy your life outside of it.
Yeah. I think the word that's kind of sticking out to me is convenience.
Yeah.
And the story you just said reminds me of story again. So my friend who works in finance was saying to me that she wanted to make her kids salmon and she opened up the fridge and realised there was none in the house. She was able to order some within 10 minutes. It was in her house. She's like, within 20, 25 minutes, I'd made my kids dinner.
Yeah.
She's like, if I was in London where she used to live, she's like, I have to put my kids in the car, take them to the supermarket or drop them off to my mum's, go. I would only do that once a week, do a big shop. So yeah, I mean, the word is convenience, I suppose.
Convenience, definitely. I think as well, like, to take it a step further, of course, we do have a different lifestyle too. We have more sun, we have more access to beaches, outdoor activities, things that there's a lot of communities here who are trying to build like friendships, etc. Obviously, we'll talk about that later, but we have a lot of things that are actively happening that as a family, you can go and enjoy these things and they're outside and you get the vitamin D. And vitamin D makes a huge difference.
100%.
You know?
I mean, I live in Scotland, Mouna. There's no vitamin D from the sun there.
Scotland is beautiful though.
Scotland's beautiful.
But the vitamin D is a bit lacking.
Yeah, just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. Absolutely no sun in Scotland. That's for sure. So yeah, I suppose there's that impact, and that doesn't just help the wellness of the family, but I suppose it helps individual mental health.
Exactly. Yeah. Like even a friend of mine, she has a daughter, and just for the days off that she wants to just take some time for herself, she'll always go to the beach. And I do question, what option do you have in the UK? Maybe you could go to the park, maybe it's too cold. You could go for a walk, maybe it's too cold. Like, I personally enjoy the heat. So for me, it was like I needed to level up my life just a little bit. I do like the winter in the UK, you know, like it's so cozy. I definitely wouldn't say that, oh, like this is so much better than this. But I would say that, like, if you want to increase your opportunities in your life or increase what you're doing outside of work, there is more opportunity here to do that.
And we talk about opportunities and freedoms, but something that I think about quite often is actually the freedoms for women when they move to a Gulf country. And I know so many girls of my age, and I mean, I'm a wee bit older than you, I'm in my 30s, but I know so many single women who have made that decision to leave Britain and go to a Gulf country because, and the main aspect is safety. Yes, there's the fact that there's less or no taxation, the fact that it's a Muslim country, it's the fact that they can eat whatever they want and not have to worry. But whenever I speak to someone, always the word that always comes up is safety.
Yeah. And I think when people think safety, they think, oh, like there's no knife crime and things like that, which is obviously the case. But my luxury here is I will come home late after having dinner with my friends at 11 p.m. and I'll park my car quite far away from my home. And I'll do that walk and I won't even second, double, even first guess if I'm okay. I will just do the walk. Whereas I remember one time when I was walking from my house, like from my car to my house in the UK, and I was like, it was 10 p.m. It was not late. And I was literally looking over my shoulder every second, like nervous somebody was going to come out, jump out and stab me, as if that should be the norm. However, that is something that obviously is a definite luxury here. Yeah, like knowing that I can just go home at any time, walk far away from my home to my car or whatever I need to do, you know?
Yeah, and when I was a member of Parliament, one of the things I really, really loved to do after a long day dealing with Tories was going out for a long walk. But I'd always be really conscious of putting headphones in and walking around. And I'd always walk and I'd have one hand in my pocket holding my keys.
Yeah.
And I remember people would be like, oh, like you're being really, really dramatic. And I was like, I don't think I am. I genuinely don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And I compare it to my experiences or experiences that other women have had in Gulf countries where they can just go out whatever time they want.
Exactly.
And have that freedom and enjoyment.
Yeah.
And whilst Dubai is so lovely and there's so many positives and, you know, there's beautiful skylines, beautiful beaches, amazing food, absolutely everything. There's also a real challenge for people when they move to a new country.
Definitely.
Whether that's Dubai or anywhere else. And that when you're at home, you have your own network of friends or family, and then you uproot your life. And in your case, you moved halfway across the world. And I mean, did you know anyone here or did you have to start from scratch?
Well, I want to kind of describe how that feeling is to someone that's never done it. You know, if you leave uni with no friends and you have no friends from back home, you kind of feel like, whoa. And I kind of went through that at some point in the UK. Like I left uni, felt like I didn't really have many friends back home. Like I wasn't well connected to them because I hadn't seen them in years. And I just felt like, whoa, I have no friends. But then I was actually able to build friendships up again. And when you come here, it's almost like you have no access to that and you're just literally starting afresh. And I didn't find that too difficult because of my nature. I'm a little bit extroverted. I can, I can make a conversation with anyone. Like,
You can chat to anyone, Mouna, that's
honestly,
for sure.
yeah. And I think that's obviously why I do what I do as well. But one of the first things I did was I posted a TikTok and I said, oh, like, does anyone want to go to the beach? Well, let's do a picnic on the beach. And that was like literally it. And that kind of started what I was doing now, which I didn't know started it. But at the time I was just like, oh, I just need some friends. And I don't know anyone here. And I did ask my best friend to move here. And she did for a bit and then she left. And I was kind of just by myself. I knew my husband, but we weren't very close. We were getting to know each other. So I do think that it was a challenging period because I also didn't like the people I was working with, so I was like, who are these people? Nobody's really vibing with me right now.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to put myself out there. And it's not easy for everybody. Not everybody has the same personality I do, which is why I do what I do, because I know the difficulty of it. Like, I'll have texts from girls saying, I'm so nervous to come to your event. And I'm like, I promise you, I'm going to match you with somebody. It's going to be so chill. But I know that initial feeling of like, whoa, how am I going to just walk into a room of girls, you know?
And
I don't know anyone.
Start conversations.
Exactly.
So that's where Women DXB then stems from.
It stems
you just
from
wanted to go to
them.
the beach.
Yeah, I wanted to go to the beach. I
love that.
Beach. I wanted people to bring food as well so I could pick at it. No, I'm kidding. No, but honestly, like back then, I saw the problem. But since then, I was building my marketing agency. I didn't have a lot of time. So then this year, I decided to really delve into it.
And what does that look like now? This community that you've built up?
I mean, exciting. Like, we're having really cool parties, which obviously is my main thing. I like to host these parties. But also, I'm noticing that I'm building friendship groups outside of the girls who come. So some of the girls will come and then their husbands will become friends. And yesterday, I got sent a picture where a group of husbands were together and a group of wives were together. And they were all hanging out. And I just thought, I can't believe I did that. I made those friendships come together. Yeah, and it actually made me tear up because I thought, wow, like these people felt alone when they first came here and they trusted me that I would pair them with someone good or I'd bring the right energy for them, I'd bring the right vibe. And yeah, and look where they are now and I'm so happy for them. They might travel together.
I love your parties. One of the reasons I love them is because it's women only, there's no alcohol, and very often you'll say, right, cameras off, and so women can just take a sit back and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've noticed as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, that really attracts the kind of person who doesn't want to be maybe on camera, doesn't want to be like around people who they don't think they'll vibe with, so they can actually see when they come, like, oh, like there's going to be a few people I vibe with who's in my age range, who's like, because we have people coming who are 40, people coming who are 20, and they're still making friends.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got a shared background or, things like that. Like there's so many things that unite these girls. So I'm very strategic with that. I call myself a friendship matchmaker.
Okay.
Genuinely, because I think if you come to me and you say, I am looking to make friends, I'm like, okay, I will figure you out and then I'll remember everything about someone else. And then I'll be like, you know what, you two will do great. I have a ridiculous memory. It's just so funny. I love it.
No, but that's so wholesome because I found as well, like when you're a kid, right, you can just go up to someone in the playground and be like, do you want to be best friends? And you're like, yeah, sure, let's play tag.
Yeah.
But as you grow older and as you become an adult and you experience life, I suppose, you can't really just go up to someone and be like, do you want to be friends?
Me and you are friends.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore. And I think also what really divides what I'm doing out of what I've seen is essentially these are parties. They're not just like we sit down and we have an awkward conversation. Like I make sure there's some kind of entertainment. I make sure there's something you can talk about because that initial talking point will just get you past that barrier and then you'll start talking. Yeah, it's breaking the ice. I think you came to my party where I had the little strip on the table where I was like, ask each other these questions.
I can't remember any of the questions actually. I'm trying to remember. You've got a good memory. I've got the memory of a goldfish.
I think we were asking like, what's your favorite place here in Dubai, as in like restaurant or something like that. So it's something that you can actually have a discussion about, not what's your favorite color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something a bit more specific. Yeah.
If I get asked one more time, what is your favorite
Is that
color?
from dating or from?
Oh, yeah. Let's just skip past that.
Let's go.
That's an episode in its own right.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The power of female friendships is so important, especially for women who, as we say, move halfway across the world. And when you've hosted these events and had people come along, what's been the feedback afterwards?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's been amazing because a lot of these girls will have a few people that they've met here in Dubai, and they've not been able to keep up a friendship with them because maybe proximity, which is what I try to solve. Like, you're coming to events regularly, you're seeing people regularly, the same people, so you can build a better friendship. Or maybe it's just the fact that that person's quite flaky, they've got so much going on, they've lived here longer than you, they've got other friends, you know, like, and so that the person who's moved over usually struggles to keep up these friendships because they're not seeing these people often. You know, they've met that girl at Pilates once, haven't seen her since, maybe went to coffee once, you know, but like what I want to do is like I run enough events that are like accessible that you're seeing similar people again and again. Even if you saw them in Feb and now you're seeing them in August, you still know them. And then maybe after August, now you've become better friends, you know, like my ideal situation is you come back and you enjoy each other's company again and keep up with each other essentially. And the feedback has been so good since, like, because they're seeing the same people again and again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's like depth to friendship as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's definitely something that I found as I've grown older, is that some of my closest friends, I don't always see them. And actually, I've got a really lovely experience that I just went through where one of my really good friends from university, I lost touch with her. I mean, with social media, you can keep in touch with anyone, and I would see her posts on Instagram and she'd see mine. But in terms of actually catching up and having like a proper conversation, it's just not something that had happened for a variety of different circumstances. But we recently reconnected, went out for dinner, went out for
lovely.
ice cream, had a lovely evening. And what I realised when I was driving back home is there's so much depth to that friendship.
100%.
And I feel like as we grow into adults, there's just some friends that you are going to have that depth with.
Yeah.
And like you say, like at your parties, if you go to one and then you don't go to one for maybe 6 months, you might still have that connection and that depth with some
there
women.
it is. Yeah. But I do want to emphasize that I try to stay away from catch-up culture and I try to make it more experience culture. And then I allow for them to catch up outside of my events, because what I'm noticing is a lot of women are just catching up and they're catching up all the time. Oh, let's catch up. You know what I mean? And what that can cause, in my opinion, is just the friendship where it can be a little bit surface level. If you don't have a background, if you don't have a long-standing friendship before, it can be very surface level. Oh, let's just go coffee. Let's just go coffee. But when you go and experience things together, you actually have things to talk about that you've done together. And that's what I'm trying to create, those experiences. And then in and out, I'll do a coffee every once in a while. I'll do a Pilates session where we go to coffee after. But the aim is like, let's experience things together. Let's try and make friendships while we're together. You know what I mean? Like experiencing something fun.
That's so interesting. And actually, it's a really good way to put it, is sometimes friendships can end up into this kind of catch-up culture kind of vibe, where it is just, oh, let's catch up for coffee, let's go out for dinner, but there's not much depth or meaningful conversations you get out of them.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. If you've got a long background like you and your friend, you can get some depth out of that. And now, from now on, you guys can experience things together. But if you guys are just meeting for the first time, I don't want to create a second time where you're just catching up. The second time you should be experiencing something together. You know, you should be doing something. I don't want you to go and just speak about your husbands. What are you guys doing? What are you doing together? What are you experiencing together? Like, it's super important for me.
At your events, I've noticed as well, is that there's lots of different partnerships that you do with brands. How does that work?
So brands are starting to realize that the girlies who actually buy from them, you know, the girls who live here, are bonding over products, are sharing products. these are the kind of people who are the real influencers, you know, like these are the people who are going to do the word of mouth talking. So they decided that they love my concept. So they decided they want to start working with me so that they can give out these products directly to their consumers, so the consumers can actually try their products, especially people who are new here. They probably don't know really what's going on here. You know, you don't know what the brands are here, what's popping here, what perfume is like the vibe, you know? You're brand new, you're exploring. And this allows the brand to have a new connection with a new audience and also like reach who I consider the real influencers, the people who have the word of mouth, you know, the people who will wear the product. Because you can send, I can say like this about myself too, but you can send an influencer loads of products. They might not use all of them. They might just use one of them and promote one of them and tell their friends about one of them, you know? But if you give it directly to the consumer, they'll understand your brand more, then they can purchase from you again. So it's really beneficial for them. It's beneficial for me because I like to give. I'm a giver. So I want people to leave and be like, wow, she gave me so much today. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Come again, you know? But yeah, that's why like I really love doing that. And I love working with these brands. And when I built the branding of Women DXB itself, I was like, how can I really relate to these girlies? And so we do have a lot of like pop, like nonfiction TV shows throughout our like branding. I don't know if you've seen our branding much, but we have like a lot of girly pop style branding, which we love. And like, we're really resonating with the girls. And I just love that.
One of the things that I found in my life is that female friendships have been some of the most meaningful connections that I've ever found. I always feel like when I'm with other women who are important to me, whether that's my friends or my family, that I can really truly be me. And that doesn't always have to be with those people that I know really well, but actually just when surrounded by women. And this is not me bashing men at all. It's just that I'm so much more comfortable when I'm with other women. And something that I've noticed at your parties as well is that a lot of hijabis come along and it's an opportunity for them to let down their hair, I suppose.
Yeah, the way they say it is rip it off. You know, I'm ready to rip it off. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. You know, I think one of the biggest things that I've been able to create is a safe space for people to just do what they want. No camera in their face. They can take off or wear whatever they want. They can wear the hijab. You know, some of the girlies keep it on, even though there's no men around. That's what they want to do, you know? And I like that I can give them that choice because we don't have a lot of spaces here. Like I did have that think at the beginning of when I decided to start this. I was like, where can women go and take off their hijab or wear whatever they want? And there's no consequences to it. And we only have Dubai Ladies Club. That's about it. There isn't many other options to go and do that. Maybe some female only gyms. And I was like, how can I make this into something fun? Something where we can all connect as well. So yeah, that's where the women only parties came from. And we do actually, because we live in a country where like majority of the staff are male. So it is a very difficult, logistically, it's very difficult to pan this out. Like I have to kind of like sit everybody for dinner, male staff, and then eject them out out the building so I can make this happen. You know, I have to do so much to make it happen. Lock up phones sometimes, you know, but I think those things are worth it for what you get out of it, you know, and what I get out of it as well, because it makes me really happy that I can make that space happen. And people literally come up to me after and they're like, can you please do more? This is what we want. You're keeping my mental health at bay, you know, like things like that. And I'm like, thank you so much. Like this feedback is what I need so I can keep going, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything you've said, I've just been like, yep, I love that. I love that.
Love it.
I love it. What
Chick.
a vibe.
Yeah.
What a vibe. But also, I suppose, for me, when I was listening back to you, a lot of that sounds like feminism to me in terms of just allowing women to do whatever they want. I feel like, see, in 2025, I don't know about you, Mouna, but I feel like in 2025, people are so quick, if you say that you're a feminist, to like jump down your throat as if it's a really dirty word.
Yes.
And like, chill the F out. For me, feminism is just letting women do whatever the heck they want to do. Whether that's wearing the hijab, not wearing the hijab, whether that's going to women's only parties or going to bars, like stop dictating how women live their life.
Exactly.
And one of the reasons I love your parties so much is because it just feels like women have that choice and that autonomy to decide what they want to do.
I think people forget that there's extremism in every sector of everything in life, you know? And so there are maybe what some people would consider extreme feminists, but some people might agree with them, you know? So, and they might have amazing points. Like if we didn't have extreme feminists in the past, you know, we may never be where we are right now, where I can have my own business and you can have your own thing going on, your podcast, you an MP. You know, those things happen because of extreme feminism, you know, and I don't believe those things are extreme, but some people do. And my point here is feminism is a good thing, but there might be different levels that you might not agree with, but the general level of it, the general backing of it, the reason for it is a good thing, you know? And I think people skip over that. They're like, oh no, that person wants to take off their bra. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Go for it.
That person wants to do something so crazy, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and even when we talk about like extreme feminism, like back in the day, I think like people like Emily Wilding Davidson would have been seen as an extreme feminist, and she was the woman that chucked herself in front of the king's horses.
Yeah.
But I mean, because of her actions, we were able to get women the vote, get women rights, and yeah, I mean, which is why you had the ability to move halfway across the world and do what you wanted to do, why I was able to get elected as a member of parliament and then have my own podcast and have you on it.
Hello. No, I honestly, because I'm running 2 businesses right now and I'm also a content creator. Like I do quite a lot of things. And I always think if it wasn't for those women, I may not have been able to do any of these things. You know, that's just the reality of it. So people can call anything extreme, but at least today we are allowed to do whatever we want. We have these choices. I can make these spaces for women. Like I feel so blessed, you know?
And it's so interesting that you're a content creator and you have your own businesses. It feels like every second person I speak to in Dubai is a content creator.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I feel like everyone here is a content creator of some way, shape or form.
Okay.
But very often that's like their sole focus. But you've obviously got your marketing and your other stuff going on as well. How important is that balance to you?
For me personally, I never really wanted to go full time. I did start getting a lot of influencer invites and all these things, but I was trying to really focus on like, what can I do with it? I'm more business minded than I am. How can I get the validation out of it? You know what I mean? And I'm not mocking anybody else when I say that, but that's my goals with it. How can I build businesses with my backing, with my authority? Because I've been building my LinkedIn account for 3 years now. And it took me quite far. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this with other platforms, you know, and I might be able to take on brand deals. I might be able to promote certain things that people like that I'm already using, you know, like why not? I'm already using it and people trust me. So yeah, like I like what I'm doing with it, but it's definitely not my full-time thing. I love my marketing agency. Because I do personal branding and I enjoy doing it. So I wouldn't want to take that out of my life, if that makes sense.
And actually, a word that you just said there was validation. And I find it so interesting. Again, this is my hot take, which people might not agree with, but I'm going to say it, is I'm really concerned about the rise in use of social media, specifically by young women, whether that's in Dubai, the UK, wherever, and this constant need for validation. And I suppose I'm guilty of it as well, posting something and checking how many likes or how many comments I've got. I think that's a natural human reaction to have. But then I've definitely seen a difference for some women or some people, especially younger people in their maybe early 20s, late teens, who really are looking at social media and thinking that's just what I want to do for forever and ever and ever. And I just don't feel like that feels, I don't know, what am I trying to say? It feels as if it's not really sustainable.
I understand. In their life, it's not sustainable because I'll tell you something. I used to feel like a little bit more, I understand the likes, validation, things like that, but actual validation that you feel in yourself, I used to get some of that from social media. Like I'm happy to be honest about that. And now I would say I don't at all. And I think that was leading me down a path where I wanted to change my features. I wanted to look a certain way. You know, you've got Instagram face and we live in Dubai in a place where Instagram face is everywhere. And everyone's really used to it. And there's not much, I don't want to say uniqueness, but not a lot of people express themselves to their true nature. And I think like when I got to dial it back, focus on my business a bit more and focus on myself, I think I kind of got closer to me. And I do think it can take you away from your true self. You don't even really discover yourself because you're trying to take the validation of being like the status quo online and tailoring yourself to the status quo, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm there with you. I often feel that people look at content creators or people online like yourself and me and maybe think that they know us. And that's probably one of the weirdest things that I've had to experience in my life and try to explain to people. I only show 5% of my life online and I'm fiercely protective of those that I love and those that I care about. And if I ever have friends that I will tag on social media, I'll have spoken to them and said, I've got a public account. I've obviously I don't have that many followers. I'm not an influencer by any means.
Which is close, don't worry.
But I am aware of the fact that with a public account, people can see who I'm friends with. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't share who I'm with at all times.
Okay.
I don't always post in real time. But I find it fascinating how social media has like changed how people view others. I share 5 to 10% of my life on social media and I've cultivated it in a way that people will only see a certain aspect of my life. But I suppose that's how life in 2025 is, right?
It's true. I think even non-influencers are sharing in a way that's like maybe even oversharing. I could say I overshare, or like trying to get validation even as a non-influencer, just from online. And I think one of the dystopian things about that is like you really do lose who you are because you're looking for that external, like, let me be this way to get that validation. So it's interesting. I do love social media. I love to post, but I don't overthink my posts. Like if you see my post, you'll know. I'm not overthinking it. I'm like voiceovering and people always compliment me on my voiceovers. And I'm like, I did that in one take and I didn't listen to it again. Because if I listened to it again, it would have gone, I just uploaded it and I hoped everybody likes it. And people always compliment me on that. And I'm like, I think about it. I'm like, it's because I didn't overthink it. I didn't think about everyone else and what they'd like. I just did it the way I like it. And I hoped for the best, So yeah, but there is obviously an element where you do have to appease to your ideal customer if you're a business, for example, or ideal audience if you want to be an influencer. There is that aspect. So it's trying to find that balance. And I do know it's difficult.
Yeah, I suppose it's authenticity, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I'm trying to do with this podcast. I mean, obviously there's editors in the background who sort it all out because there's me drinking my tea in a not so elegant manner, so that gets cut out. But I think
leave it in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see that, Mouna. But for me, it's trying to be as authentic as possible, but within the parameters of I have this public kind of facing life, but also have a really private life. And social media is great. I absolutely love social media. It's been great to like connect with people, but it's also really interesting to see how that's impacted the levels of friendships that we have with people.
That's very true. But we actually met on social media.
We did.
Yeah,
that's
our
so
friendship
true.
stemmed from social media.
It's such a lovely story, right?
Yeah, it is.
So just to explain to our listeners, I had seen your TikToks and I just thought you were super cool. I was like, oh my God, there's this girl on TikTok and she lives in Dubai and she's like absolutely killing it. And then you're doing like really cool things. I love that.
Oh, that's really nice. When I saw yours, I felt the same way. But I was like, I even showed your profile to my husband because I think at first we were connected on our couples page or something similar. And I was showing him your profile and I was like, she's so cool. She's in Scotland right now. She's so busy. Like, look at her. And then, but I noticed that you would be here every once in a while or something like that. Am I wrong in saying?
Come often for holidays.
Often. So then I was like, I can't tell. Does she live here or not? Ambiguous, perfectly ambiguous online, which is what you want. But yeah, like I loved your profile back then and I love it now.
But I love that so much because, I mean, there's so much wrong with social media and there's so many concerns. And one of the big concerns, like I said, is how young girls treat social media and the impact it has on them and their mental health.
Definitely.
But of course, our friendship stems from following
I'm
each other
saying,
on
like,
TikTok. How
I
lovely.
definitely believe that even like getting the word out about Women DXB has been purely organic across social media. I've not done anything anywhere else. I've not promoted websites or, done ads across Google. I've not done it in word of mouth. Like, I've done it purely on social media. So it's helped me so much, and I really appreciate that. And it's brought friendships together. So yeah, like that's why I say, like, I love social media, but I do know that there is that validation aspect that people might need to check themselves every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. And whilst friendships are so important and we've had such a lovely conversation, the reality is that people evolve. Human, just by very nature of being human, change in life. We have different experiences, and part of that is the breakup of friendships. And we talk often about the breakup of relationships and romantic relationships, but the reality is that we've all gone through friendship breakups, but it just feels like that's not prioritized or given enough airtime in comparison to other breakups.
I completely agree with that. And especially when you're younger, you're not even told that a friendship breakup could happen. So, as you grow up and your first friendship breakup happens, you're like, wow, you would not expect that kind of heartbreak. You would think that could only come from a relationship. And I remember my first friendship breakup, and I was actually 18, so I was quite old when it happened, but not old, but I was in my older teens, and I did really feel like, wow, like I feel like I'm heartbroken. And I do believe that people don't take it as seriously enough, and they also don't work on their friendships as much as they would work on a relationship. For example, in a relationship, you may give somebody multiple chances because society might tell you to. However, friendships, usually you won't talk it out enough. We don't really have that kind of society where it's like, well, you did this to me and it upset me. Instead, kind of ghost each other.
That's so
Have
true.
have you
Yeah, I
noticed
mean,
that?
we talk about ghosting in relationships. You're right. We talk about ghostings in relationships, but actually there is ghosting in friendships as well. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And usually that comes from two very different personality types. Well, one is non-confrontational and one is confrontational, or maybe both are non-confrontational. And so they're not able to have that conversation. There's a blockade there where they're like, oh, I'll just leave it. I'll just stop talking to them. Oh, I'll just leave them alone. Instead of just saying, you know what, that comment hurt me, And I do think as well, we're not really brought up to be able to have those conflict resolution skills. And that's something I speak to my husband about as well. I'm like, if we have an argument, I'm like, okay, how can we build a skill out of this? We don't have to, but I've since been able to tell my friends, since that when I was 18 and I had my friendship breakup, I've been able to tell my friends, like, if you have a problem, please tell me before like kind of
yeah,
step
take a
away
step
from the
back.
friendship. Because I have a very close friend here, my best friend. If anybody knows me, they know my best friend. And there were people go up to her and be like, I've seen you on TikTok. And it'll be my TikTok
I did that
page.
to her.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's so
When
funny.
I met her, I was like, oh my goodness, are you the friend that went to South Korea with Mouna? She was like, yes.
Yes,
love
I
you.
am. I think we had like one friendship argument situation, which I think she wouldn't mind if I shared. But it wasn't anything that bad, but we kind of weren't able to resolve it because she's non-confrontational and I'm confrontational. I'll say like, what's the issue? Come on. But she'll be like, you know what, let's just leave it. Everything's good. And we kind of like, we had to push past that, And I think her more than me had to push past it because it's not her usual nature. She'd rather just leave it and like get on with things. So I'm like, no, we have to solve this problem because it could come up again and you might not like what I did. And I want to work on that for you. And in a relationship, you would do that. But in a friendship, you also have to prioritize that.
It's so interesting what you're saying. And there definitely feels like we are told to prioritize mending romantic relationships in comparison to friendships. And I think of the friendships that sustain me, and one of my closest friends is a woman, a woman same age as me, called Amy. And Amy and I were both members of parliament at the same time. So we're both elected pretty young and went through this really mad experience of living in Scotland, travelling down to London, speaking in Parliament, and we really bonded over that, but also other things. And she is so important to me. Like, that depth of friendship I just don't have. And I suppose it's because we've gone through a very similar experiences.
Definitely.
But I think both Amy and I are quite strong-minded women. And yeah, like you're saying, like we do disagree at times. There's absolutely no doubt that we've had disagreements, but we're able to have conversations, resolve, mend.
Yeah.
But also, I suppose that then links to like depth of friendship, because the depth of our friendship is so deep, is so strong that she's able to call me out, and
I
I'll be
hear
like,
you.
actually, do you know what? You're right, or I'll call her out for any type of behaviour before it even gets to that point of where we're not going to talk.
And I think some friendships have to go through that kind of calling out to get stronger. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, but it's so interesting because, like you say, we're not really taught to mediate or resolve issues within friendships. There's that priority put towards romantic relationships,
Definitely.
but not with friendships.
Yeah.
But like you say, like friendships, I feel like just become so much more stronger then after that. And
Definitely.
she is, and she won't mind me saying, she is probably one of the most important people in my life.
Oh,
And I
lovely.
hate that I've said that publicly, because she's now going to, I know what she's going to do. She's going to record this. And every time I say something to her, she's going to play this clip back to me. Oh, I need to get this edited out.
Keep it in, make sure. Hi, Amy.
Yeah, but then also then it makes me think more deeply about meaningful relationships. And I do, and this is something I say all the time, I really do feel like the most meaningful relationships, the strongest connections I've made with other people or with other women. And I have this conversation with my male friends and try to ask them, because it's just something I'm fascinated by, is when men are together, what kind of friendships they have with each other. Is it those deep, meaningful conversations? And I don't know, and if someone wants to tell me, they can. But is it those deep, meaningful conversations where they're able to express their vulnerability? Because I just feel like that only ever happens with me with other women.
I mean, you know, it's so funny. I was speaking to my husband about this recently because I was asking him a few questions about his friend and he didn't know the answers to the questions. And my husband is very attentive. Like if you tell him something, he'll remember it. And he likes to know things about people. And I think that's not very common. I do think that they don't actually know much about each other because they don't share much. And as women, we actually like to share with each other because we want to go through similar experiences. We want to talk through, we want to give each other advice, you know, and we want to hear from each other and learn from each other. And I do think they're like that in maybe like a business space. But I've noticed just from his friendships, don't want to say all men, but just from his friendships, I've noticed that they don't actually know that much about each other. They just know the experiences they've had together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so then I was having this conversation with someone recently, and I asked him, well, how do you express that vulnerability with your friends? How do you have those conversations? And he said to me that unlike women, it's not like you can just go for coffee and talk about your feelings. Like for men, he claimed, and I don't know if this is true, that for them it's like going out for shisha or spending time with each other when you're
Okay.
sat back, you're maybe a little bit more relaxed, and then you're able to talk about your thoughts and feelings.
Interesting.
But I'm
So
not
it couldn't be
convinced.
just any space. It would kind of have to be a very laid back space.
Yeah, quite
Okay.
specific, where they're
Yeah.
able to, like, I suppose, switch off to an extent. But I
Yeah.
don't know how true that is.
I mean, I think women provide, like, especially a lot of men in relationships, women will provide a lot of emotional support for them.
Yeah.
And women do a lot of the emotional handling in relationships. So maybe because they have that, they don't feel the need. I mean, not all men are in relationships, but maybe the men in relationships don't feel the need as much to express outside. But maybe women do because they can't turn to their partners. I mean, I'm not sure, but this is just something I've seen.
Yeah, no, I
You
mean,
know?
it's just so interesting to take a step back and look at it.
Yeah.
Because just from my own experiences, the women that I know are a lot more emotionally available, and maybe I just don't know that many men. But
I also don't know many men, so it
but
could be
the
the
ones
case.
that I know
Yeah.
don't seem to be as emotionally available as women, and they just aren't open to having deep, meaningful conversations. So then it's very natural for me to then just stick around other women.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I mean, as somebody, like, because I'm married, I don't have male friends. But when I did have male friends, I would say that, like, I wouldn't rely on them to have an emotional conversation or come to them, I would go to a female friend at the time. Yeah.
In 2025, it feels like women are sometimes pitted against one another, but actually some of the most meaningful conversations, and I keep saying the word meaningful, but honestly, it really does describe for me the friendships I have with women. But some of the most meaningful relationships I have with other women are people within my own sector. But it does feel like sometimes women can be categorized as being really bitchy and really nasty, but that's just not my experience.
I completely agree with that, especially here in the UAE. A lot of people have one-off experiences with women because they're brand new here. So they're kind of like, oh, let me speak to this girl at my Pilates class. And maybe the girl is just having an off day. Or maybe she's just busy, or maybe she's from a different culture. So she's not, used to just speaking to somebody randomly. And so they'll speak to them, they'll think, oh, like the women here are catty because that lady just like blew me off, And I don't think it's the case overall. I don't think it's the case here. Especially meeting women every single day. I'm constantly meeting new women. Once they're comfortable, they are absolutely not catty, not the B word, it's so different once somebody is comfortable. And I think it's kind of coming outside of that uncomfortable state, like sometimes people can be standoffish just because, they just don't know you yet.
Yeah,
they
they're
need
just
a
having a
second.
bad day.
Yeah, exactly. They just need a second. But women are, in my opinion, definitely not the catty gender. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, probably agree with you there.
And I don't think men are catty either, but from my experiences, if I was to compare, especially in workplaces, even competitiveness, some people say that women are like not that, they don't really strive for big things. That's why they don't get these huge roles, and they don't reach CEO because they don't strive for it, or they don't go for it. But I think they do go for it. And I think they're kind of pushed down by other people, maybe the other gender. Yeah. I think we have so many stereotypes that just do not fit us at all. I think especially one that my husband heard his friend say, which he kind of called him out for, was that women just go to the workplace just to look good or something similar like that.
Wow.
And I just thought, people need money. Like, what is the conversation here? You know what I mean? She's probably there to work so she can make some money. And you're talking about, she's just there to look good. And my husband had to call him out and be like, what are you even talking about? Like, when you hear somebody say something, you take a step back from the friendship. I think that was the position he was in.
Yeah, but also like that line is just so problematic because that's absolute heart. It's assuming that a woman is only there to please
objectification.
Yeah, to please a man and to be objectified and to be that kind of, to fit into that kind of male gaze.
Exactly, that's where it is, yeah. And I think, I don't know if you know, but there's actually to every 3 men, there's 7 women here. So out of 10, there's, so obviously there is a large, outside of the labour force, there's a large female population here. And because of that, there is an issue of kind of like men thinking that they're so in demand here. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay. I have heard
thing
this.
Here. Yeah.
So I have lots of friends who are single who date in Dubai, and this is the one thing they've said to me quite a bit is that men here feel like they're the prize. I've not experienced this. I don't date in Dubai. Not been through that experience, but from what I've heard from other women, sometimes men here think that they're the prize, which
absolutely
I find fascinating.
I think that's why women every day more and more are leaning into their female friendships, because they don't want to put their heart into something where the other person thinks they're the prize, especially here in Dubai. So I think they're putting more energy into their female friendships because they're realizing the benefit of that over having maybe a relationship. And there's a lot of people opting out of even dating, and just focusing on their friendships and their own lives.
And I think it's just so healthy though. And I just hate this idea that in 2025, it has to be a choice. Like you can date someone, or you can be in a relationship, you can be married and be really happy with the guy that you're with. And at the same time, have really fulfilling female friendships.
Definitely.
And I think something that some people battle with is balancing both. And I mean, you'll have experienced it and I've experienced it where we've got friends, they get into a relationship and then they forget about you.
Definitely.
But it's actually really important that you, if you have both, that you give that consistency to both. It's not a choice.
It's very important. I understand when you first enter a relationship, you're going to give a bit more time to that new person. It's understandable. You've got 6 months to do that. And then after that 6 months, I'm pretty much monitoring whether we're hanging out ever again. You know, like it's on you now. But I do understand why when people get in relationships, they need a bit more time for that. Completely understandable. But I have literally experienced here in Dubai, especially, which I think I mentioned to you earlier, the fact that when somebody enters a relationship, now their friendships are all surface level. And even to the point where somebody cut off me and my friends, we were like a little friend group, she cut us off because she wanted to spend more time with her then boyfriend. And it was a really interesting time because we barely even saw her. So we were just kind of wanting to hang out once a month. You know, like, should we hang out once a month? No, too much. Okay. And she cut us off, which is fair enough. Like, you know, everybody has their reasons. But I think the issue was we were trying with her, and she wanted to give all her energy towards him because that's what she wanted in her life. And so as her female friends, that can really hurt, you know? And so when she did try and come back to us a couple months later after like cutting us off, it was a really interesting time for us because we were like, we've lost that trust, you know? You weren't able to even see us once a month. Once every 2 months would have been fine as well. We understood.
Yeah,
we're
people
all busy.
have got commitments.
Yeah, we're all busy. But it was just kind of, it was a bit naff from her side. But that, it doesn't affect me today. But at the time, of course, I was like, okay, well, this is not love. This is not nice because I've put a lot of effort into this friendship. I know her from back home. She's from my hometown. This is not someone random, you know? And you want to keep that effort up. But sometimes it's just, it kind of is what life is.
Yeah. I think something that women have to learn as well, and it's a process to learn it, is how to decenter men. And again, this is not me being a man hater before people come for me.
Definitely not.
But it's just knowing that as a woman, you can lead a really fulfilled life. Now, I come from a South Asian, Pakistani background, practicing Muslim. And so I understand in my community, and you might get this from a Moroccan background, might be somewhat similar, that there's getting married and having children and having a man and being settled is seen as like the epitome, is seen as like you've made it in life. But I feel like in 2025, with the friendships that I have, we've made a conscious effort to decenter men from our life. And, you know, if people are divorced or if they've gone through bad relationships, they're able to learn from what they've been through. But at this stage now, be like, do you know what? I'm now in my 30s. I want to take a step back and actually just live my life for myself. And I think that's really, really important.
So I think as women, we like to be the emotional standing, like almost the emotional table in a relationship. We want to hold it up, you know, and sometimes we're not selfish enough. And I think on a majority level, men are able to be selfish, but we like to give. We're like big givers, you know, so we want to do a lot for somebody else. And I think decentering a man or decentering men in general allows you to really be selfish every once in a while. And if you're not going to look after yourself and be selfish for yourself, who else is going to be? Like it's your life, and you can't just think, when's the next man coming, or when the man comes, I'll be happy, or, you know, when that thing happens. You do have to think selfishly, am I happy in myself? You know, how do I make myself happy? Because like some women give a lot to relationships, but they're not actually happy in them. But then when they allow themselves to be a bit selfish, take a few days off or take some time to themselves or refuse to do the laundry for a week and just chill, for example, they're happier, you know? And even though it's not done, or they're like some things are laid out and they need to sort them out later on, for example, they're still happier now. And that happiness is so important. This is a really big thing for me. If women are not happy in their homes, the home is not happy, especially if they have children as well. No child wants to grow up with an unhappy mother who is very snappy, is unable to be selfish, so she doesn't make choices for herself. She's constantly giving. actually, like, you would think, oh, a mother who's constantly giving is great, but then she's never giving to herself. She's never happy. And you don't actually want that for your mom. You know what I mean? So I do think women need to learn how to be more selfish. And in turn, it will decenter men.
Have you heard of the term the hidden load?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like in a household, a woman takes a disproportionate amount of the laundry, the cooking, the cleaning, and so that's all her responsibility. And you've just said the word selfish, and it's really interesting because I recently had a conversation with a GP who specializes in women's health, and I
Wow.
asked her, "What's the one thing you would say to women?" And she said, "Anum, women need to be more selfish." And she was like, there's lots of negative connotations with the word selfish, but actually being selfish is not a bad thing because ultimately, if you're a woman, if you're responsible, say you're a mother or you're a wife, or you have caring responsibilities of some sort, if you're putting yourself last, if you're putting everyone else's needs before yours, you're ultimately going to burn out.
It's true. It's 100%. I mean, even like I'm only at wife stage, if if you want to put it that way. I don't have children. But even at this stage, there's certain things that I tell my husband, no, we're going to outsource that. You're going to have to pay for someone to do that because I don't want to do it. Because if I start doing that thing and it's on my list constantly, it's ongoing, I won't be happy. And would you rather I be happy or would you rather it get done? You know, and like we'll spend a little bit of extra money, it gets done, and I'm happier. And my schedule is nicer and we get more time together. And I'm not unhappy with him and he's not unhappy with me because it's not done. You know, like that exchange can really ruin relationships. And so definitely, like if you can afford it, outsource to be selfish, you know?
Vogue recently released an article and it was titled, "Is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend now?" Which I think is really interesting because all the usual suspects went up in arms. They were so angry, but actually at the heart of this article was exactly what we were saying. Like, we need to learn how to not center men at the absolute core of our lives and do things for ourselves.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. But I think what can happen is you can really lean into that relationship and lose yourself. And I've seen many of my friends do it where they've gone into a relationship and all I know is their boyfriend. And I know all about their boyfriend, but I don't know much about what they've got going on. And they lose, their business doesn't do as well, or they stop achieving the way they used to achieve. Their grades go down because they're in uni, or for example. Those things I've seen happen so often in my life that makes me think, okay, it's not embarrassing to have a boyfriend, but maybe we need to put more emphasis on what we're doing. Maybe we've got to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable. Because, you know, some people look at my profile, my socials, and they're like, you're married? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I only really knew that you did a marketing agency. I'm like, I mean, I want you to know I'm married, but like, I'm doing this so you know I have a marketing agency. So that I want that to be at my forefront. Like, what am I about? And then obviously, of course, I have an amazing husband, but what am I about? You know? And I think that's what it goes missing.
A man shouldn't be your personality trait. Like, that's what it comes down to for me. If you're in a relationship or if you have a husband, that's great. But if that becomes your entire personality, then there's an issue.
I completely agree. And even though we've seen it happen time and time again, I think it can happen to any of us. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? Yeah. So I think it's the case where we have to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, and
Make
just
sure
check
that we
yourself.
keep, because the man won't do it.
I
You
mean, I
know,
think most men, if you centered them at the absolute core of your life, they'd be absolutely buzzing.
they'll be very happy, but they
Be very
won't do it. But it's not that they won't center you and make you important. They'll definitely make you important. But what they won't do is like their whole personality will not be about you. They will still continue, go play football with their friends, go do shisha with their friends, work with different colleagues. And those colleagues may never hear about you. But like your colleagues know all about your boyfriend. You know what I mean? It's such a different way of life, you know, and that's why that decentering can be important.
And then for me, as part of that kind of whole decentering men, again, not saying that I hate men at all, but to decenter men is really important. And the way I do that is by maintaining some really important female friendships that have so much depth and consistency. And consistency can look like different things in different friendships.
Definitely.
I have different levels of friendships and different things that I do with different friends. However, I maintain them and put that work into it, essentially the way you'd put that work into a relationship, I suppose.
And I think I would definitely say that if you feel like you have a friendship right now that's slipping away, see what you can do to rebuild it. Even if it's just reaching out and saying, hey, like, I think you're actually upset about this. Is that the case? It's okay if you are. Like, open that book if you've never done it before in that friendship, because the first time is difficult, to start that conversation. But yeah, from then on, it gets so much easier. Like, and you guys can have that conversation.
And then you're not stuck in limbo, because ultimately not all friendships are going to last a lifetime, and that's okay as well. Sometimes you have friendships with girls at different stages of your life. And like you say, if you feel like some friendships are slipping away, have that conversation, and then you can either draw that chapter to a close or maintain and continue a really lovely friendship.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, I was just thinking about when I started Women DXB, I was at a stage where a lot of people have left Dubai, my friendships. So of course we'll continue being friends. However, because the proximity isn't there, we're not able to see each other as much. And I thought to myself, oh, it's time for me to actually make some new friends. And to do that, obviously, I actually ended up making friends at my own thing, which I didn't think would happen, because I thought, okay, well, I'm the one organizing it and I'm very busy. I'm not going to make any friends, but I'm glad everybody else will. But like, I really have made some female friends this year that, already have like seen tiny things and like helped me with them. Or like, for example, somebody bought me a case for my camera because I didn't have one for so long. I'd come to every event, cameras on my arm, no case. And she bought me one with my branding, Women DXB.
Oh, I love that.
And I just thought, like, I can't believe I have a friend like this. You know what I mean? We've just met, like a couple months ago. We've seen each other maybe 7 times, which is amazing for friendships, at this age, to see each other 7 times in a few months, amazing. But yeah, because we saw each other so often, she came to my events, we were hanging out. We now actually have a foundation for our friendship. So now if she moves away, I still will see her. We'll still have that strength in our friendship. I'll still go to her home wherever she lives, because we built that foundation.
Yeah. And it is so true, because sometimes it can just be a case of meeting someone and you have that instant connection. And one of my closest friends, and I'm not going to name her because I respect her privacy, we were friends when we were kids. So we used to go to the same mosque for Quran lessons.
Oh, sweet.
We were friends when we were kids. And the funny thing is, Mouna, she lives up the street. Like, literally, she lives like 10 houses away from me.
Goodness.
Like, not far.
Yeah.
But then when we were in our 20s, for a variety of different reasons, we lost contact.
Okay.
And we didn't speak, and it wasn't like something had happened. It was just, we were kids. And we just drifted apart. And it was my mom, actually, who said to me, she was like, Anum, so-and-so, let's call her Mary. Mary is such a lovely girl. Why don't you like catch up with her again? And I was like, do you know what? We had each other on Instagram. We'd like each other posts. And then we were like, do you know what? Why don't we catch up? And I laughed to her. And I say, the first time we went for a walk around a loch in Scotland, and the first time we went around that loch, it felt like we were on a first date, because it was just a wee bit awkward.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hi, how are you? How's life?
I'm glad you can joke about it.
Yeah, and it was so funny. But from that, Mouna, like, we now play badminton once a week. We go to hot yoga. We spend so much time together. And actually, when I was in London doing my podcast recordings, she came with me.
Oh, lovely. So
and,
sweet.
Alhamdulillah, I would say, like, for a friendship like that, where I have women in my life who are my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And see, for me, like, there's just nothing more important in my life right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound dramatic, but genuinely, like, those are the friendships that sustain me, to know that I have girls in my corner who will be my biggest cheerleaders. There's not that jealousy, that cattiness. I'm the same for her. It's just so loving.
Yeah. And honestly, like, not being in competition with your friends is one of the biggest blessings.
Yes.
You know, and like I've dealt with a few friendships where, you know, they also wanted to be content creators. So it was very difficult for me because I could tell like I'm someone like I'm very giving. As soon as I get an opportunity, I'm actually asking them like, by the way, I also know this content creator, you know? So if I have friends who are content creators, like I'm trying to help them. But I think it started to feel a little bit catty, a little bit, you know, like they were comparing myself to themselves, things like that, you know, and I didn't want that for them. And it felt a bit awkward for me. You could feel it, and they were making comments, and it was really difficult for me to be in a friendship like that. And so sometimes you do actually have to step away from female friends. Like, yeah, you do your best to mend these friendships. Or I did actually speak to two of these girls that this was happening when I was like, you know what, like, I'm starting to feel like a little bit of weird energy. Like, is everything good? Sometimes not everyone's going to be your friend, you know? And like, I like friendships where there's no competition, you know, where I'm helping you. Because the likelihood is, honestly, like, this is one thing that I'll say about myself. I will try my best to help you if you have a business or you're trying to become a content creator. Like, I will send you voice notes with tips. Like, I'll see something on your feed and I'll be like, this is how a brand would reach you. So like, try this next time, you know, like I'll look at all those things. But if I can feel a little bit of different energy, I immediately withdraw, you know, and I maybe I'll reach out once, everything good, you know, as soon as I'm like, nothing's good there, I'll completely withdraw. And so sometimes you have to even check yourself, think, am I being that kind of person in my friendship, or am I being a good friend, you know?
Yeah, and energy is just so important, right? Like, energy really does make or break a female friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about one of my other friends. Like, I called my other friend Mary. What name should I give this one? Sarah. Let's call her Sarah. So one of my friends, Sarah, her energy is just like off the charts. And I know that whatever I'm going through, if I just spend time with her, and we don't have to do like big things. We don't need to go out for like fancy dinners or anything. Even if Sarah doesn't drive, it does my head in, but I'll go pick her up. Our thing is going to Haiti in Glasgow.
What's that?
Yeah, so it's like boba and all that kind of stuff. She loves it. She goes there, then I go. There's this amazing ice cream place. If you come to Glasgow, I'll take you. Called Minted. It's on Byers Road. The best ice cream. So like our kind of routine is we'll drive into Glasgow. She'll get her Haiti. I'll go to Minted.
Oh, lovely.
And we'll just like have a chit chat about life, and it's that energy that sustains me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be like doing big things or going out to fancy dinners or going out for long walks. It's just beauty in the simple things, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, like, when I said earlier, when I do these like big events, I want people to have things to talk about so they can go off and have those coffees together and meet up and actually like be able to connect the same way that you guys have things that you're bonding over now. That's what I'm trying to create, but with that bonding experience from the beginning, because it is difficult, you know, like finding these friends like this, finding a backing, because you have to build a foundation with a friend if you actually want long-term friends, especially if you move here and you're like, I'm going to live here for 5 years. So actually that means I can't be lonely for this next 5 years. I need to actually build friendships, you know? And so building the foundations, making an effort, which is a big deal. Some people really struggle to make that first step of like, I'm going to go and I'm going to say hello to that girl at Pilates or something that I'm always smiling at. But you have to make the effort if you want the outcome. The same way if you have a business, you'll build the foundation. The same way if you have a relationship, you start to get to really know each other. Like, you have to do that for friendship, you know?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, we've got a quick fire round. So don't think too much.
Okay.
Just whatever comes to your mind. It's called That's My Cup of Tea. What are you reading right now?
The Daily Life of Stoicism.
Okay. Are you enjoying that read?
Yeah, this is my second year because it's a yearly read. So 1 page a day. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I love that. Would you rather be doing the commute in London rush hour traffic on the tube or be stuck in downtown Dubai traffic? Because both are hellish.
Yeah. But at least the tube, I'm not driving.
That's true. The one thing I actually forgot to add is that you're in the tube in the middle of July.
Yeah, I'll be in downtown Dubai for sure. The views, like,
Yeah,
you know,
you're stuck in traffic, but you've got aircon
I've
and
got
lovely
aircon,
views.
the views. I'm probably sipping a drink.
I feel like I know the answer to this question.
Tell me.
See if you say the answer I don't want to hear. We're ending this podcast right now. And I'm chucking you at that door. Are you team Conrad or Jeremiah?
Team Jeremiah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, and can I just
How?
say something? He thought Belly cheated, then he cheated. I'm not saying anybody should have cheated, but, you know, like Conrad cheated with Belly. So can we just...
But how can you be team Jeremiah?
I'm team Belly, can I say that?
Yeah.
I actually am
Do
team
you know
Belly.
what? I'm actually not even team Belly. I find her quite annoying. Do you know who
Okay.
I am? I'm team Stephen and Tate. Oh, love them.
They were fantastic.
See, also Stephen. Can I be team Stephen? Actually, forget everyone
But you
else.
know what? I'm team Steven, but they also were cheating. I'm kind of team nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Upon reflection, who was the parents? Laurel and... No. Am I right?
Yeah. Laurel, and then the mum was Susanna, who died.
Yeah, so Laurel and her ex-husband. Oh, yeah. Laurel and her ex-husband. I'm that team. I think they could have done well.
Yeah.
I still root for them.
What's that kid in season 1 who was really sweet? What was his name again?
He was also in season 3.
Yeah, then
Curly haired.
Yeah, curly haired. What was his name?
Cam Cameron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm team Cam Cameron.
Okay, yeah.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else that I really liked.
Yeah.
I
no.
am team Conrad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've never been team Comrade.
And I'm actually
Not even for a
disgusted.
minute.
Yeah, really. I'm also disgusted with myself, low key, how invested I was.
Did you read the books?
No, I've not read the books. But like, as a 33-year-old, I should have been doing better things than binge watching The Summer I Turned Pretty.
It was perfect though. It was a great show. I really believe that like it touched the heart of like, we'd love to be a teenager in love, experiencing those things. You know what I mean? Like you want to be a belly and experience all these things, especially if you grew up Muslim, like you don't really experience those things, you know? So it's like, it's nice to live through belly, experience vicariously and not experience yourself.
Yeah.
You
Did
know?
you ever watch Never Have I Ever on Netflix? With Davy
Quickly tell me.
Vishwakumar. Right, okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
love
team Davy.
Davy.
I'm
Yeah.
team Davy.
Yeah.
Like Davy was just on it. I loved her.
Yeah.
She's my
She
favorite.
went to Stanford, I think.
Yeah,
Or
she
Harvard or something.
one of them.
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was
she was
just
great.
she was on it. She decentered men.
She did whatever she wanted.
She just did whatever.
And she was good with it.
Quite right.
Yeah.
What's your dream location for a women's DXB event?
Oh my goodness, a dream location. On the new Atlantis, the Palm, they have this like sky deck, right? It's kind of like it's a pool sky deck. I would love to do an event there just because of the aerial view, because you can kind of see Jumeirah, downtown. You've got every view from that point. That would be amazing, especially for the girls who are new here and have never seen those kind of views. That would be amazing.
We're manifesting it for you for 2026. I'll fly back to Dubai for it.
You best
just for that.
Yeah. You won't be flying for me. I'm kidding.
What's the stereotype about Dubai life that you like proving wrong?
I think people think it's a lot of nightlife, alcohol, you know, and like parties only happen at night. Whereas like a lot of my parties happen during the day. They finish before 9. We're in bed by 10. You know, like that's the kind of energy that I like to bring here. I don't really resonate when people say like, oh, Dubai is this, Dubai is that. People are just out. They're not really like living life properly. It's a fast life. I don't resonate with it at all because that's not a life I live. I live a very slow life. I do work very hard, but all the events we do, they're during the day or they're in the evening, or, you know, like we're enjoying our lives. We're also healthy. We're not like overdoing it. We're not living this fast life that, you know, spending all our money outside of work and living for the weekend, whatever else. I definitely think that's not the case for everybody here.
Who's a woman who inspires you?
Can I say you? Are we allowed?
I mean, you inspire me. You're my favourite guest so far because you brought me lovely pastries.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody that inspires me. Can I say Zoran Mamdani's wife? Yes, because she successfully is in her own right, is an amazing artist. You know, she's done so many things. And, you know, and like, if you look on her Instagram, she'll be posting about art, things that inspire her.
Yes.
She won't really be posting about her husband who just won
Right.
mayor of New York,
Can
the
we
most
talk
expensive
about
city in the
this?
world.
Yes. Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
So I actually seen an Instagram post from her, and I think it was like just a few days before he won.
He won, right.
And she posted things that inspire me or things that I want to like draw or art that inspires me. And that man, her literal husband, didn't feature anywhere.
Yeah.
She is...
She's exactly who she thinks she is.
Yes.
And
Rama, that's her name.
Rama, and if you're listening, Rama, which I hope you are, we are very inspired by you.
Rama, we love you.
Yeah, we're going to do sentiment as much as you have.
Yes. And Rama, if you want, please come on the podcast.
100%. You will do great here.
Oh my goodness, I'm obsessed
She grew
with
up
her.
here.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she grew up in Dubai.
Oh,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Or something like that. No.
Yeah, no, I think she's amazing, and his win was phenomenal as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He's a very impressive man who's managed to do major things, you know, make a big turn, and very proud of him.
Yes, and they met on Hinge.
Yeah, we love that, because they're not the conventional Muslim couple who like meet through families and things like that, but they're a successful Muslim couple who a lot of us should be looking up to.
Definitely, and I think a lot of us are inspired by the two of them.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I cried a little bit when he won.
Yeah.
That's how much, I was like, it means nothing to me, I'm in Dubai. But I cried for the future, you know.
That's my mayor.
That's my mayor.
Zoran Mandani is my mayor.
Yeah.
Even though I live in Scotland.
No, like I convinced myself for like 0.5 seconds that like we were slightly related, because my last name's Ramdani.
Very
I was
similar.
like, it's close enough. Yeah, like that's my cousin.
You're basically cousins.
Yeah, that's my cousin. My brother. You know.
I love that. What's your favourite comfort food in Dubai?
This is controversial, but I love it. Okay, I love the clay paratha wrap, which people don't like. People have been saying, "Oh, it's not that great." You need to go and get it takeaway.
Okay.
And as soon as you grab it, eat it. Don't go home and eat it. You know, it's a paratha. It needs to be warm.
Yeah.
You know, clay paratha wrap is good, especially the burger one, the smash burger style.
Yeah. I have not had it.
So good.
Yeah, I maybe need to try it before
Sponsored
I leave.
by Clay. No.
And what's your favourite quote or something that grounds you when life gets a wee bit stressful?
I have a quote that I read every day. I'm not sure if it's good for stress, but on the top of my notes page where I write like my daily notes, it says, good things come to those who wait, but not those who wait too late. And I always think on that, because I think, yeah, like I can be patient, but there could be other things I could be doing, things that I can keep doing to build myself up, you know, even if it's internal things. I think we can all like say, oh, like life is hard. But sometimes you need to think, okay, like if I keep moping around and thinking life is too hard, I'm never going to get what I want. So yeah, like good things are coming, but I do need to put things into action.
I love that. Mouna, this podcast is unapologetic, unfiltered and disruptive. But if you could go back in time and give 20-year-old Mouna any advice, what would that be?
Calm down. I was always so worried about my future. And at that point, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, you know, and I did qualify and I did what I needed to do and I was training, but it wasn't what my life's purpose was. I was so stressed back then about where am I going to be as a lawyer? What do I want to achieve as a lawyer? How do I want to be seen? But now I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, what can I do for myself? How can I build myself up? What do I want my life to look like? You know, even just having a house by 25 is something that people are always so stressed about. But it's maybe not as realistic nowadays. So maybe it's time to create new goals. Maybe it's time to challenge whether you even want a home, or do you want to rent for the rest of your life and enjoy your life, enjoy the money that comes from the deposit. Like you can do whatever you want. It's not necessarily that what worked back then is working now. And we do have to make small shifts in our mind. And I wish I could have told that to my 20-year-old self, who was so stressed about being like the best lawyer in town or something, you know, who doesn't even live in that town anymore and is not even a lawyer anymore.
I love
but
that
I work
so
with lawyers,
much.
so
yeah, I love that so much, because it really does just hit to the core of life changes. I mean, 20-year-old Anum would not believe the life that 33-year-old Anum lives, but that's just part of life, isn't it? Things don't always go to plan, but it's being adaptable and being able to change.
100%. And Honestly, I think your 20-year-old self was probably extremely ambitious, but didn't know what your 28-year-old self would achieve and how much your life would have changed by the time you turn 33. Like, so honestly, calm down. Things come. But I do think on the flip of that, I've always been somebody who will look for opportunities. And if I could tell anyone younger who's watching and thinking, like, how am I going to develop my life? Like, how am I going to create a career? You just have to keep looking for opportunities more than the peers, more than everyone around you, because people around you might be complacent. But if you want to be a little bit better or want to be a bit better than your past self, you need to keep looking for opportunities wherever that looks like.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A huge thank you to Mouna Ramdani for joining me and for spilling the tea on building communities and sisterhood. Now, I want to hear from you. When you think about the friendships that have shaped you, the ones that have seen you through every season, what do they look like? What does love in the form of friendship mean to you? Because for some of us, it isn't grand gestures or picture perfect moments. It's the small things, the voice notes that make you laugh, the friends who turned up when you didn't even ask. That's girlhood. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this episode with a friend, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next episode of DemocraTEA, where we spill the tea on people, power, and politics. See you next time.